One strange moment at the end, though, Bob. So Liverpool win it 4-2, and any time Liverpool beat United or United beat Liverpool, they want to celebrate. Klopp's on the pitch, and he approaches Sadio Mane. Now, Mane didn't start the match last night. He came on after 74 minutes. Klopp goes over to him and ignored his handshake. Ignored Klopp completely. Didn't want to know about it. And then wandered off. And we thought, well, what's that about? Post-match, have a listen to this. This was Jurgen. He played down the incident and to a large extent explained why Mane did it.
No, there's no problem. Yesterday I made a late decision in training to decide for Diogo. And so the boys are used to that. They explain things usually. But there was actually no time for that. And that's all. It's all fine.
So he didn't, Martin, have time to tell him that he wasn't starting?
No.
Does that happen?
It did happen, but Jurgen Klopp's such a man of routine, and he would always, in his address, when he makes a change, clearly, there's always hugging players. And for Mane, it was like, well, I don't want to show that everything's okay publicly, because privately it isn't. You didn't actually have the respect to speak to me. So that's fine. Maybe it might just help the player just be a little bit more angry, a bit more in his performance, and it might have been clever from the manager, because he is normally brilliant at that sort of thing. His relationship with his players has been there, 4 or 5 years. If he's made one mistake in not telling someone, I always felt it was nice, respectful to hear from the manager that he was going to leave you out of the team rather than just name the side. They do it different ways, don't they, managers? But it was definitely against what Klopp normally does.
Yeah, I mean, Mane's behaviour, though, Bob, what do you make of that?
I thought it was churlish.
Brushing him off.
I thought it was churlish. I thought it was rude. I thought it was an insult to his manager, therefore to his team. If George Graham had ever come up and offered you his hand, would you have ignored him, turned around and walked away? You wouldn't, would you?
We had lots of words, me and George.
Yeah, I know you did.
I wasn't frightened to say my piece.
No, but you wouldn't have done that, because you would have known that would have...
Bob's got a point there. Put yourself in the position last night. Say Arsene hadn't fielded you from the start, hadn't told you that you weren't going to start the match. You go on after 74 minutes. Wenger comes towards you at the end. What would you have done?
Well, it wasn't his style, was it? That's the thing. If you look at Jurgen Klopp, he's so much... embraces those players, and he's following.
Martin, I'm sorry, you're being too polite to Sadio Mane.
Wenger would never come on. If we won a Premier League,
forget Wenger.
I can only remember an embrace when we won a trophy from us. It didn't happen in a weekly basis.
Forget Wenger. Bob's right.
George Graham didn't come onto the pitch again. It was only
he's not on the pitch. Let's keep it at the start. You've won. You beat Man United. He hasn't picked you. You're a bit. What you've done is you've spent 90 minutes thinking, why hasn't he picked me? It might be because of this. I'll tell you what, there's no way he ain't going to pick me next week, because I'm going to be so good in training. If he turns around and offers you his hand, you would take it and shake it. I know you
probably would have done, yeah.
But
I said
Sadio Mane done because he's a spoiled,
but we need to have a word.
overprivileged modern day footballer, and they think they can treat anyone anywhere
it's
they want.
It's not that. If you overindulge the players and you treat them in a certain way and then you change, that's why you get a reaction. That's the point I'm making. Jurgen Klopp's been brilliant the way that he works with these players. He's following every step of their careers.
Mane should not have snubbed Klopp like that.
No, of course he shouldn't have done. But it's what happens when you mollycoddle, you give them lots of attention. You in public sometimes they let you down. And that's what's happened. But behind the scenes, Jurgen Klopp will work to stitch this up. But
was he disrespectful to Klopp?
Yes, he was, and that's unfortunate. But Jurgen Klopp's trying to get something from the player. He's been disappointing. The player said himself he's had a disastrous season. So you want to see some sort of reaction on the pitch, and that's what you'll see now for the rest of the season. There's a huge rescue mission for them. They can win the next 3 matches, and they can make it to the top 4, and it'll all be hugs and smiles in the last game of the season, and everyone will say, "Look, they patched it up."
But no, I just think there's something about the man's attitude. He should have spent that 90 minutes thinking, "Why aren't I in this team? Why is that guy better than me? Why has he picked him?" Because he's better than I.
Don't you want him angry? Don't you want him angry, Bob?
I want him angry with himself. I want him saying to Jurgen Klopp at the end, "Yeah, boss, I'm really sorry I let you down and didn't put, and wasn't good enough to be in the team. I promise you, next week you won't be able to drop me. I'll be so good."
At least acknowledge Klopp. That's the thing, Bob. Acknowledge him.
It's churlish.
He's his boss.
It's the modern footballer who thinks, you know what? There's 100 other managers out there.
Is this just the Premier League players, Bob, would do this? Do you think they'd do it in the other divisions?
I don't think they'd get away with it in the other divisions.
Of course they'd do it in the other divisions.
Martin, are you being an ex-player protecting a player?
A little bit, yes.
I think so.
But I don't say it was right what he did. but he's just broken out of the mould because he's been treated in a certain way by the manager. I think he does. He embraces a little bit too much. We've seen Jurgen Klopp celebrating with the Kop end, haven't we? With just like an ordinary run-of-the-mill home match. He's a celebrator. He cuddles the players. He does it regularly. Yeah. And the players just say, no, not today, because you didn't even speak to me. You didn't give me that respect.
Well, let's put it out there. Martin doesn't think it was right what Mane did, but he doesn't think it was wrong either. So what's your take on that? Did Sadio Mane show Jurgen Klopp a bit of disrespect, as Bob obviously thinks he did, as I think he did?
Massive disrespect.
At the end of the game, by snubbing Klopp. Klopp goes over to him, say, well done. Mane didn't want to know. What was the message there from Mane to Klopp? And was it disrespectful? 08717 223344 81089. Bob, I would never snub you, and you would never snub me.
Well, all right, we'll leave that in the air.
Yeah.
You're pushing it a little bit.
All right, then. Was Mane disrespectful to Klopp? Let us know.
But next week, when we just pull you out of the show 5 minutes before we go on air, yeah? And then invite you in at the end, will you snub us then?
Absolutely not. I would act as I always am, which is just happy just to be in the same room.
As long as you're getting your money, you're going to snub nobody.
Yeah, he didn't dock his pay. Dock his pay, and then you can snub him.
And incidentally, Sadio, you're not getting paid for tonight. Yeah. What? Coming up to 10:30.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.